Boy, you know what time it is.
Welcome to the Bromigos podcast.
I need it!
Hey, how are you?
This is amazing.
Pump your fists if you feel me, and holler if you hear me. Welcome back to the Bromigos podcast. Your boys are back in the house, back in the saddle. Undercover Brotha, joined by none other than...
Yeah, we got Hoochie, and it's the Tiny Whiteys once again.
Yes, you say the Tidy Whiteys. I call it the Pale Power Hour. But I make us sound a little bit more masculine, why don't you, right?
That's fair.
Come on, Honor. Man, it's been 2 weeks since we put out an episode, and I want to say I'm sorry about that because it's kind of my fault. It's kind of my fault, and I'll kind of get into that in a second. But first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I finished all my running around today, so I can finally relax and chill and make another episode of the Bromigos podcast.
Mm-hmm. You got no one sees this on the video, but Hunter's got he's got the American flag in the background. He's a true patriotic American. Hulk Hogan, I am a real American.
Yeah, I thought, why not maybe mess around with the background a little bit, because I do that all the time in my Discord, and I'm like, you know what? I never even did it for the platform that we use to record on, so thought, why not give it a go, and I just clicked a random image and saw that I had the American flag, thought, why not?
Well, it is 4th of July in a couple of weeks, so
Yeah,
might as well get the patriotism going on early. Anyway, so what would you like? We have a couple of things we can talk about today. I have a long story, so I'm going to save that towards the latter half of the show. But anything you'd like to start us off with? Anything I've missed?
This whole Caitlin Clark's situation with Kennedy Carter, and basically just the hate that she's been getting in general, because I really don't understand why she's getting hate for bringing so much eyes to the sport of the WNBA and just women's basketball in general. Because yes, we got Caitlin Clark, Cameron Brink, Angel Reese, got a whole bunch of other players are down below in college, like Paige Beckers are going to come up, Haley Van Lith, they're going to come up and make a name for themselves in the WNBA. But the amount of eyes that she's brought to the sport has definitely created some controversy over her counterparts and her fellow draftees in the same draft and Kennedy Carter from the Chicago Sky. It just seems like she's getting a way rude awakening, more rude than that we typically see with any other player in the WNBA. And is that because she's got the multi-million-dollar shoe deal, and is it because she's white? Because I've been seeing that. That's apparently what it is. Maybe just jealousy. But I really don't understand why she's getting this much hate. And the whole Kennedy Carter thing. So I think they had a 2-game series. I don't know. There's not too many WNBA teams, and they play each other a lot. So this might have been 2 separate games. But one of the games that Caitlin Clark played against was against the Chicago Sky and Kennedy Carter. There was a moment where Carter was shooting free throws, and Caitlin Clark was, just waiting for the possession to go back to Indiana's favor. So she shot 1 free throw, and then she immediately goes up on Caitlin Clark, not knowing that she has another free throw, which it's like, okay, that's the attention that she's getting. She's getting way more attention on the defensive side and the offensive side, well, just in general. But and then not only that, so Caitlin Clark is waiting for an inbound, and I don't know what happened, but Kennedy Carter just pissed off about something that she did, and then goes, "You a bitch!" Boom, and then just shoulders her, and then she just gets shouldered to the ground for no reason, and it's just so random because it's like she did nothing, but something provoked her, and Kennedy Carter, rightfully so, is getting a bunch of hate for it, and man, I wish we had Dante here because I know he has a lot to say on this. But
you know, it's funny because he and Mike kind of go back and forth on it. Not like in arguments, but like, civil discourse that could look like arguments if you don't pay attention to the chat for a while.
yeah,
And, they have their different points of view on it. At the end of the day, and I won't speak for Dante because he's not here today, but he does go along the lines of saying, as long as people are talking about the league, it's a good thing because that's only going to make more money. Because, like, remember when we first started the show 2 years ago now, which I think that anniversary is coming up a couple weeks. When, God, what the fuck? Who got arrested? Brittany Griner.
Yep.
When Brittany Griner got arrested, everybody was talking about the WNBA. And then the year after, no one really paid attention much to it because there wasn't any news or no one was really covering it. To my knowledge, anyway. I could be wrong. And now we got Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all these other, athletes that got drafted from the college ranks into the WNBA. And now people are talking about them again. And mostly it's Caitlin Clark. That's blatantly obvious because she is more or less the star of that draft class. And not to say that the other girls aren't, but as far as like well-known names, it's Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese at like neck and neck, more or less.
Yeah, but so there wasn't any of this sort of hate towards Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum. There wasn't this hate towards them. There wasn't even a lot of hate even when Breanna Stewart won MVP over Ajaya Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces. Because that was kind of like a coin flip, but in the end, Breanna Stewart won. But no one made a big fuss over it. But
now Breanna Stewart's white, I assume, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay, I see.
I mean, they're all talented players. Don't get me wrong, but there's not that much level of hate towards them like there is to Caitlin Clark for some reason. I don't know why that is, but anyway, Chennedy Carter, she just bumps into Caitlin Clark after calling her a bitch, drops her to the ground, and then the post-game press conference, she didn't want to answer any questions about that. Already sus. Because, like, how are you going to do something that no one on the court really does and just not answer anything? And then on the Instagram comment, she goes, that's all I'm going to say, or something. That's all I'm going to say about it, because other than that, what else does she bring to the court? What? Are you dumb? Have you been living under a rock? Listen, I know that this is your third WNBA team for specific reasons because you have a issue with your anger issues. And I'll go bring it back here. So she was a first-round draft pick. Fourth overall selection 2020 to, what was it, the Atlanta Dream.
Okay.
So your rookie season, all right?
Well, you got the stats from me.
Oh no, I got it all.
Oh, boy.
She scored at least 25 points on 4 occasions. This is in her rookie season, becoming the 4th time ever that a first-year player did that for Atlanta. And at the end of the season, she was in the WNBA All-Rookie team. All right, cool. But you were suspended indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team for some reason. Now, what is that reason? You wanted to fight a player who asked her to improve her attitude during a game. You didn't play for the team again, and you got cut. Then you went overseas. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Then she got signed to the LA Sparks. And again, she got benched for poor conduct during the season. After that, she didn't suit up for the last 4 games of the season, then got shipped off to somewhere in the I shouldn't say Middle East, but somewhere playing basketball overseas. Then
probably
you come back,
Europe, because I don't think the Middle East would appreciate her being there.
No.
Let's be honest.
I don't know why I had Middle East on my mind. But
I was going to say, it's like, damn, they got really progressive over there.
You went overseas to play basketball. Then you come back to the States to play for the Chicago Sky. You're not even, well, at the time this happened, wasn't even 10 games into the season, and you're already causing a ruckus, roughing up Caitlin Clark, and then you're not going to answer any questions about her, and then you're going to go on the Instagram and then comment, what else, other than blah, 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 what else does she bring to the team? Or what else does she bring to the league? Like, what? Are you dumb?
People talking about them. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. At the end of the day, we're talking about a league of mostly mid-attractive women playing with balls. That's really what it comes down to.
I wouldn't even say attractiveness has anything to do with it. I know she looks like Diego and Angel Reese looks like Sid from Ice Age. Don't get me wrong there. But have you seen her picture?
That was just far right there. Like, I mean, it's one thing to say, like, there's not really a whole lot of attractive women in the league. I mean, it's another thing to say they look like fucking Sid from Ice Age. Goddamn.
Well, Angel Reese does look like Sid. Don't get me wrong, but it's not attractiveness doesn't have anything to do with it. It just matters about what you bring to the court and what kind of energy you have. If you're going to be nice, cool, cool. If you're not going to be nice, then why the fuck are you doing? Like, look, this is her, by the way, Kennedy Carter.
Good God Almighty!
Yeah, yeah. I would be mad too if I looked like that and played on 3 different teams and then played overseas just to come back and get pissed off that some white girl is being better than me.
Respectfully speaking, that is hideous.
Yeah,
What is that?
listen, she's the reason that you girls have charter flights, bringing more eyes to the league. Am I wrong? Am I
Make
wrong?
more money. This might be the first year in a very, very long time that the WNBA might be in the green or in the black, one of the two, whatever isn't losing the money.
Oh no, they're definitely in the green. They're definitely making money. I mean, there have been some arenas where there have been more sellouts this season, but
So far,
the Caitlin Clark effect. When they played the LA Sparks, the Indiana Fever, when they played the LA Sparks at the Staples Center, well, whatever, it's not the Staples Center anymore, but that's what it's always going to be called. They had more fans there in attendance than any other Lakers game that season. Like just this past season, there were over like 19,110, and I think the most at a Lakers game was 19,080.
so they beat them by So they beat them by like 30 some odd.
Yeah.
30 some
But
odd
that-
people.
hey,
I mean, that's big. That for the WNBA, it's a big deal. Overall, it's really not that big of a deal. The Lakers will fucking sell out any day of the week. I mean,
Yeah. But it's the Caitlin Clark effect because they're teams that have to play in smaller arenas where they're more accustomed to playing in smaller arenas. They're having to go to bigger arenas now. Like I think the Washington Mystics, they're moving their game from whatever stadium they're in to the Wizards arena that they play in.
the Capital One Arena.
Yeah, because there have been so many demands for ticket sales, and again, I think they're playing in the Indiana Fever as well. But that's the type of attention that the league's getting, and I mean it's a good thing. So what hurting your number one asset? That's the result of all this. Doesn't make sense.
So can I ask you this then?
Yeah,
Sorry to
go
interrupt
ahead.
you. Do you believe in the whole Caitlin Clark white savior conversation then? I wish Dante was here to talk about that, but like you're the only person here today. So what do you feel about the Caitlin Clark white savior discussion that's being taken place? It's like, oh, we needed a white woman to save the league.
So I don't even yes and no. Here's why I say no, because there have been plenty of white players in the past, like I just mentioned, Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and then Kelsey Plum. They're fine.
Wait, Kelsey Plum is white?
Yeah.
I thought she was
What do
mixed.
you think she was?
I thought she was mixed. Okay.
No, not that I know.
She's hella tan. That's for sure.
Well, there's tanning beds.
Well, yes, and good and good genes to tan. But
yeah. Regardless,
I wouldn't know about that.
There have been plenty of white players that have come and gone in the WNBA, and some have brought in attention, but not at the level that Caitlin Clark's doing. And I think some people are being rubbed about that the wrong way because maybe they feel like that they're better than them. Like Angel Reese, she made comments that it's not just because of her; it's because of me as well. And I don't want to say
which is true.
I mean, kind of.
I don't think that's necessarily wrong. I mean, Angel Reese is as much of a she's as much of a reason why the league is having success because she is a former champion in the NCAA.
Yep.
Granted, I'm surprised she went. What was it, 7th in the draft?
Yeah, it might have been 4th.
Well, whatever it was, I don't know. She went not as soon as I thought she would. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. So.
Yeah, she was the 7th overall pick, but
7th. That's why I was right originally then. So yeah, I mean, I thought she would be like, top 5. If that, I thought she'd be top 3.
Yeah, but here's my problem, because the number 2 overall pick from that same draft, Cameron Brink, she's not getting as much hate or as much negativity as Caitlin Clark is. And I don't understand why that is. I mean, Caitlin Clark deserves all the attention that she's getting because she broke the NCAA. I think she broke quite a few records in her last year at Iowa. She broke the women's record for most points. I think she broke the all-time NCAA record, men's and women's, for points in a collegiate career. And she's just, she has her moments, but overall, I would say that she's a role model for little girls around the country that, hey, maybe I could be like Caitlin Clark someday. And I mean, it's not that hard to do. You just got to put in the time and effort. And she's shown that because essentially girls look at her as like, well, overall, we all see her as like the female version of Steph Curry with the way that she can shoot the three ball. So I don't understand the hate, me personally. I don't think it's a race thing. I just think it's a jealousy thing.
I could see that. I mean, I hate, and I mentioned the white savior argument earlier. I hate when people start bringing that argument up. I think it's annoying, and I think it's tired. I think it's cliche because I agree with your point that there's a bunch of other white players in the NBA who have either made a name for themselves, like for instance, Sue Bird, one of the fucking goats.
Yep.
That's a name I recognize anywhere. You know, she was white, and she never got, and I don't remember, at least to my knowledge, I don't think she ever got that sort of negative connotation to her name as far as like, oh, white savior type of deal. But like, I just don't understand why Caitlin Clark is the one getting it mostly. I mean, if anything, and I will once again reiterate what I said from Dante's point of view a couple days ago in the chat, as long as people are talking about the league, it's a good thing for the league. It doesn't matter who it's about. People are talking, and talking makes money.
Yeah. Isn't that realm where all publicity is good publicity, whether it's positive or negative? But that's another good thing because this whole, like I mentioned, Kennedy Carter, she had that whole outburst and then the comments. And then I don't know if you saw this, but apparently they were being harassed like a few days ago when they were going to another game, which it was really just a reporter just asking questions. I mean, the video speaks for itself. There's a guy that's playing like man-to-man defense, just going up, and then all I'm seeing are comments just going, really? This is what you were saying you were being harassed by? Just a reporter asking questions about the incident. Like, just journalism. Guy doing his job. And then you got this big security guard trying to be an offensive lineman for the Chicago Bears or something, just getting all up in the camera like, hey, like, really?
Hey, listen, nothing will be worse than that one guy at one of the press meetings when Caitlin Clark got drafted is like, hey, Caitlin,
Oh,
like the heart, that was weird. That was weird. I was freaked out when I saw that. And like, I don't get freaked out by much. That creeped me the fuck out. Anyway, speaking of basketball, let's quickly move on here. NBA finals are now kicked off. And let's put it this way, ladies and gentlemen. The Dallas Mavericks got their fucking asses kicked in game one by the Celtics, which I kind of expected to happen because the Celtics are arguably, I don't want to say a bigger team in terms of like name brand value, but that probably too, but they're just an overall bigger team. Mavericks don't have a lot of big guys, or at least a lot of notable big guys to counter guys like Tatum, Porzingis, things of that nature. I mean, the Mavericks did a really good job against Rudy Gobert and, you know, Cat and all that stuff, but
yeah, I mean, Boston's different, and they just got Porzingis back, and he dropped 22 on him, I think, last night.
Let me see. Hold on. I have the stats right here. Porzingis scored 20, 0 assists, 6 rebounds, played 21 minutes overall. I mean, Porzingis, there might actually be a chance that Porzingis wins the chip this year, and that would make me as a fan of the Knicks a very unhappy man. But it is what it is. You know what I'm shocked about? Jason Tatum scored 16 points in 42 minutes.
I'm not shocked about that because they got so many good players overall on that team. Like, they got good role player. Like, Jaylen Brown can just carry the load and go on. Drew Holiday can do his thing. Derek White, Al Horford. They got guys that can shoot threes. Although Sam Hauser got minutes on the court, and he was just draining threes like there was no tomorrow.
But here's the thing, though. So for me, and I saw this argument being made, and I agreed with it. When Luka and Kyrie are in the zone, you can't stop the team. They make up for probably half the team's overall points in a game. Now, last night was a different story because as I'm looking at game one here, and of course, game two would have already passed as well. So I'm only going off of game one stats when this
Kyrie
releases.
was ass.
Kyrie had 12 points. He had 2 assists and 3 rebounds. Luka's fucking going off at 10 rebounds, 1 assist, and 30 points in 38 minutes. I mean, Kyrie would play 36 minutes, and he didn't even achieve half of what Luka did. So I still have the Mavs winning. I think this will be a 7-game series. I think this is going to be a 7-game series.
They better figure it out in game 2. If they don't, then it's going to be an easy sweep.
They figured it out against the Timberwolves. I think they'll figure it out against the Celtics. They may not win,
Well, that's
But
different.
I think
'cause
they'll figure it out.
Rudy Gobert got into foul trouble a good bit, and he showed that how much he lacks on the defensive side. Not to mention, he can't shoot threes. Like,
Yeah.
Cat can shoot threes.
Defensive player of the fucking year can't play defense. What a
Yeah.
shocker.
Yeah, he gets into foul trouble too easy.
Yeah, fuck Rudy Gobert. Fraud ass.
Like, I'm looking over here. They got, what is it, 8 guys? No, 7 guys. They got 7 guys that shot at least, and made at least 2 threes. Jaylen Brown, Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Al Horford, Tatum, Sam Hauser. Not to mention that Peyton Pritchard, even though he got 0 points, he can still work the ball around the court. But I really thought that this Dallas team was more equipped than in previous Dallas teams. Like, PJ Washington's been phenomenal. Daniel Gafford's come up out of nowhere from being below average or mid on the Wizards to a perennial center in the team for Dallas. And not to mention Derek Lively. Derek Lively had an off night, but throughout the postseason, he's just been nothing but stellar.
Gafford's one of the centers, correct?
Yep.
So Gafford had really impressed me in the Western Conference Finals, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they need more than just him on the big side. You know, they can't. I don't know if he can do it all as far as like defense goes, because I don't think the Mavericks have a lot of good big guys. Gafford's really it. Meanwhile, Celtics have Porzingis, who can pretty much block you from any angle because he's just so long and lanky. I've seen that when they faced the Knicks several times this season. I'm just like, damn, Porzingis is a fucking problem. We can't, and they can't solve him.
Yeah, Porzingis 3 blocks. Overall, the team had 9 blocks compared to, I think Dallas had 1. Yeah, that came from Maxi Kleber. Yeah. Good on you for getting them minutes, bud.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dallas needs to figure it out. Otherwise, it's going to be a quick sweep.
So it's crazy because while I was in the hospital, I was watching the games. You know, I was watching everything. I watched the Western and I watched the Eastern Conference. And let's be honest, I mean, I knew Indiana had no shot against Celtics. I mean, that was pretty obvious from the get-go.
Well, the thing is they did, because they had a lead in, like, I think all the games they had a lead in, and they blew it to some occasion.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing, though. So did the Timberwolves. Literally, 1 day apart. 1 day apart. The same thing happened. At halftime or in the third, Indiana or Timberwolves are leading by double digits, and they completely collapse in the second half in the fourth quarter specifically, leading to very close games and absolutely insane clutch moments by the eventual winners of each series. I mean, let's be honest, and this was a game that they lost, but that one 3-pointer by Luka, I think it was a game 5 or game 4, one of the two, at the end of the game, still lives in my head rent-free.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was one of the greatest 3-point shots I've ever seen.
He doesn't get enough credit for what he does. He needs an MVP. I don't know what else he could do, because he's in like that conversation that we had with Embiid a couple of years back, where it's like, I don't know what else Embiid could do to try and beat Jokic for MVP if Jokic is averaging a triple-double on the season. Luka's basically doing the same thing. He's just scoring more points. I really don't understand what he's got to do to win MVP, but he has carried the Mavericks for so long. And he's
hurt too. Well, he was hurt in the Timberwolves series. He had, was it a knee issue, an ankle issue?
Got all sorts of issues.
A lot of the lower extremities were not doing too well in towards the end of that series, and I hope he got the rest he needed. Clearly, he got the rest he needed because he scored 30, but maybe he's just powering through the pain. Who the fuck knows? But I expect this series to be competitive. I know Game 1 kind of proves otherwise, and we can only go off of Game 1 when this episode releases because Game 2 hasn't happened yet.
Right.
But when Game 3's on Monday when we release the episode? When Game 3 happens, we'll have to know what happened. We'll see what happens then. But
Game 2's on Sunday. Game 3's on Wednesday.
Oh, I'm wrong. Thank you for clarifying that. So Game 2 will be on Sunday. Then we'll be releasing the episode on Monday. It's going to be difficult, man, because, well, not difficult. It's going to be interesting, I should say, to see where the Mavs go from here.
Yeah.
I think they'll have an answer for them. I do. I genuinely do. It's just a matter of how many games do they have the answer for.
That, yeah.
Because they showed they could beat a big team in regardless of foul trouble or anything, they showed that they could beat a big team in the Timberwolves. Can they do the same thing again with the Celtics?
Better hope so. I'm looking through. They played each other twice in the regular season, and Dallas lost both times.
By how much?
Well, first game was by 9, and then the second game was by 28.
Fuck.
Yeah, and I think the second game they didn't have Porzingis.
Wow.
No, the second game they did have Porzingis. Never mind.
And then this game they won by
18.
So we'll see. We'll see. I'm a little, now that you say those stats, I'm a little bit more concerned about my pick because I was a little bit more confident in my assumption. But
all of America except for the Boston region is pulling for the Mavericks, but it's not looking good.
Let's be honest, Dallas needs something to cheer about. It ain't going to be the Cowboys, that's for sure. Fuck you, B-word. I know you're listening to this shit. So, you want ready to talk about the real big thing of today's episode?
Yeah, I just want to cap it off because, like I mentioned, Luka needs an MVP at some point. He's only 25, but it feels like he's been in the league for forever.
Really, it does.
Jokic won MVP again. He had 26 points, 12 boards, 9 assists. Luka this season had, well, it's at 0.9, but I'll round it up. 34 points, 9 boards, 10 assists.
I mean, shit, even then, if we're going off stats like that, we can also, and I know you're going to fucking joke with me about this, but you can also make a similar argument for Jalen Brunson for MVP because he was putting up similar stats to Luka. Am I right or am I wrong in that?
Well, points-wise, yes. Rebounds, nah. Assists, he's somewhat there. He had
so he's on par. He's not up there, but he's on par with them.
No, 20. He had 28, 4 boards, and 7 assists. Pretty fair for him.
Yeah, those numbers could be beefed up a little bit next year. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier that I was in the hospital when I was watching these games because that's all the reason I was in the hospital is very, I would say, important. So I would like to take this opportunity to use our platform to discuss men's mental health, if you would allow me to, Hunter.
I think this month is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Well, it's Men's Health Awareness Month in general.
Yeah.
It's also Pride Month. Happy Pride Month to everybody that celebrates on that end as well.
Shout out all the Cowboys fans.
Oh my God!
Hey man, they've been waiting all year long.
They've been waiting all year long for that. Hey, no, but seriously, shout out to everybody in the LGBTQ community, man. We love y'all. I know sometimes we make jokes about y'all, and we've said some shit in the past, but we all love y'all. We do. Either way, it is also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and your boy, the Undercover Brother, had been going through some struggles the last couple of months. As much as I try to pretend like I'm fine on the show, because that's really what I'm doing is I'm pretending. The old Undercover Brother thing is an act, after all. Your boy had to go into crisis a couple weeks ago. And I was having a really tough time, and I didn't think I was going to make it out. But I decided I was going to have one last-ditch effort to save myself, more or less, because I was done. I'll be honest with you, my friend. I was done. I was checked out. I didn't want to be here anymore. It was just a matter of when. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And I'm being dead honest when I say that. So I decided to advocate for myself in one last-ditch effort and take myself into a crisis unit, which was Capitol Health in Trenton, New Jersey, which was not my ideal choice, but it wasn't my choice to pick, unfortunately, in that case. So I spent the week there, learned some new coping mechanisms, made some good friends, possibly got into a relationship because of it. And we'll get to that in a second. So I'd like to take this opportunity to kind of go into my stories from the psych ward and the loony bin, as some people have joked with me about. Do you have any questions for me before I start talking? Because I feel like you've never been in this kind of position to my knowledge. So, do you have any questions as to how everything goes? Or
a little bit, yeah. Just kind of give the people the basics of what it's like being in there. Because I like I said, I've never been in that position.
Okay.
Also, how do you get into a relationship after in there? I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I'll get into it. So as far as what it's like, they essentially take you through the emergency room and they ask you a couple questions about why you're here. And I was very honest. I said, listen, I have these thoughts. I have these suicidal ideations, and I'm just here to get some help. And everybody said the same thing. It was like, oh, you're very brave for coming here. And I'm like, all right. At the time, I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. Now, fun fact, about the undercover brother you don't know about. I had actually been in that same hospital about over 10 years ago for the same reasons, but not nearly as severe as this time. And they took me to the crisis unit. Now, the crisis unit I could only describe as a prison. That's what it feels like. You are in a somewhat nicer prison. There's it's very condensed. It's very uncomfortable. Thank God you don't, depending on if you move out of there or not, you don't spend a whole lot of time. I spent maybe 4 hours there, 4.5-ish hours. They moved me into the psych ward at midnight or a little after midnight. And I could finally fall asleep, but those beds were uncomfortable as fuck down there. That's for sure. The psych ward itself wasn't all that terrible. The crisis unit was. And as anyone who's been in crisis will tell you that it's not a fun place to be. But the psych ward wasn't all that horrible. You know, they fed me 3 times a day. The scenery was a little bit lackluster, but there's really
He's trying after all.
I mean, yes, I went outside the windows. You're really not going to see much outside because of this trend. But even then, it's just like inside the walls. Like it wasn't like it was a little more comfortable, but it wasn't like homey, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't that homey feeling. What would I expect from a hospital either way? The beds were a little bit more comfortable up there. I had a roommate. His name is CJ. And he was a great guy. Helped me get through some stuff too, as well as me helping him get through some stuff just by talking to him. And, you know, we would talk about our lives and stuff we want to do once we got out of here. Every week or every day was kind of the same. It was a very like rigorous schedule. It's like we had breakfast, some sort of like community meeting, then like group therapy sessions, then like lunch, more therapy, dinner, snacks in between here and there. It was very rigorous. You know, there was at least 4 group therapy sessions a day. Some you can get more out of than others, depending on what your situation was. Like if you had alcohol or drug problems, those focused around that would help you. If you had mental health issues like myself, those would be helpful for you. But the people that were in the this psych ward that I was with, some of them were cool. Some of them were whack jobs. And I mean that respectfully. I do. But until you're in a scenario like that, you'll never truly understand. So I'll keep this anonymous as possible, okay? Because I don't want to blow anybody's spot up. Some people, well, one particular woman, who I won't mention, she was very nice. She was a lovely person, and I don't know how much I believe of this, but she believes that she's God.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So she believes she's God and that she stopped the zombie apocalypse that was going to start when COVID happened. By riding the dragon across the globe and fighting the zombies.
Oh my God.
She said this with full confidence in her voice, by the way.
No hesitation?
No hesitation.
Oh,
I was a little taken aback by that because I'm like, oh God, where am I? But needless to say, the woman I'm talking about, as much as I don't know if I truly believe that, because let's be honest, when you're in there long enough, it's like, it starts to make sense to you.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'm just like, and I'm not, but like when you're in there long enough, it feels that way. But when you're first hearing it, like, it's like, oh, what the fuck? There was a young gentleman who was younger than you. You're 23?
3. Yep.
Okay. There was a guy who was 20 years old. I've never seen a young man so fucked in the head as this individual. And I mean that politely. The guy had been drinking and smoking since he was like 13. Mm-hmm. He himself claims he hasn't had a sip of water since he was like 12 or 13 years old.
All right. That can't be true because your organs would be. He would be dead.
I don't know. I mean, I believe it.
No, you can't go. You can't go years without drinking water.
I don't know. I'd be inclined to believe this kid. That story is one I'd be inclined to believe with how he acted. The problem is that he had such rage issues. And I'm not talking anger. Like, anger issues are one thing, Hunter. I'm talking full-on rage. Like, it would be 7 o'clock in the morning, and because he didn't want to take his meds or something was wrong with breakfast, he'll just, like, rage and start cursing off the entire staff. Calling them fuckers, F words, as far as like, you know, the other word that you're not supposed to use during Pride Month. Cunts. He called his own psychiatrist a cunt. That
was he British at all?
No, he was full on Levittown, Pennsylvania American there.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, he was from
adds up.
and it adds up for you, doesn't it now? But he was angry, dude. I don't know. And he must have been sedated at least 5 times. I'm not kidding. Look at me when I say that. He must have been sedated at least 5 times over the course of me being there.
Good Lord.
And every time he would come out like loopy as hell. You know? He'd be like, he was like in a good mood almost. I'm like, damn, homeboy isn't mad today anymore. So he's a good kid. Like, he and I had quite a few conversations, but like, I told him when I left, I said, because he thought he was going to be getting out. He didn't get out when they had court the one day. He wasn't getting out. And I wouldn't be shocked if he's still there, to be honest with you.
Probably is. Because
he just can't control that rage inside of him. And some people call it like some sort of seizure where you just can't stop controllably cursing. But like, he was like, angry.
No, Tourette's. That's what it is.
No, it wasn't Tourette's.
If you can't stop cursing?
No. Well, he would get into these fits where he was like yelling at the top of his lungs. You can hear him through the entire psych ward. I'm not kidding. Oh, another young girl tried to fight the staff. Straight up. At one point we had 18 people in our psych ward, which is like so abnormal, apparently, according to people who have been in and out of those types of things.
Oh boy.
So we had like almost 18 people, and they had to start moving people around in rooms. And one girl, young black girl, just got out of high school, I think, was not having it. And she decided to barge through the door somehow of the office and start trying to tackle somebody, and they tore her the fuck away quick. Like, I had never seen a group of people go that quickly trying to tackle somebody, and
they're probably trained for that.
Oh yeah, no, trust me, the security guards on that level were very good. I was cool with a lot of them. Shout out my boy Jenkins and Ron. But they were not having it. Yeah, she got sent into what's it called? She got sent into solitary confinement for the rest of my time there.
Oh.
Which was like 3-4 days before I left.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't see her again I only saw her once that entire like 3-4 days left I was there. Yeah, she apparently did it twice. One time I saw. The other time I don't know about. Allegedly it happened twice.
Oh.
And there was an older woman. Oh man. I feel so bad for this woman, bro. Like, I'm not making jokes about anybody here, because mental health is not a joke, but like, I'm saying all this stuff because this is the type of things that you may or may not see when you go into a psych ward like this. This poor woman must have had a combination of dementia and schizophrenia, which is a awful combo, if you ask me. She was convinced for like halfway through my stay that I was somebody else.
Huh?
Yeah. She said I looked so similar to someone she knew that was coming to rescue her.
All right.
From that hospital. Like, apparently she asked me, did I drive a U-Haul to look for her? That was this, and I said no. I mean, I've been in here the exact same time you've been in here. And she was like so taken aback by that information. Like, she was genuinely afraid. She was saying that people were coming after her to kill her.
Oh boy.
Apparently her story changed why she was there every day. Like, she either followed the street sweeper over here, or I don't know or found her way over here because of some disagreement with her neighbors or something along those lines. I don't know. But she was a very nice woman when she wasn't like having those types of fits. I say fits because that's the only other word I can use. But sometimes she'll sit next to me and then she'll like talk to herself. Now I'm just watching TV. I'm not paying her any attention because I've already seen her do this like 2 or 3 times already. But then she'll start crying. Out of nowhere, she'll just start getting worked up. And half the time I wouldn't even do anything because I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? Especially after she thought I was somebody else. I'm like, I was so uncomfortable from that interaction that I kind of just like distanced myself a little bit. You know?
Mm.
Oh, and there was this one kid, Indian kid. Again, not very young, about 18 or 19 years old. Apparently this is something that's legitimate, so I'm not really making a joke about this. He believes he's dead. Yeah, he believes he's dead. He's currently in hell. And we are all NPCs apparently to him.
Oh my. That's a first. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, apparently that's something that's a thing.
I've heard about being dead inside and feeling dead inside, but not.
No, he believes he's dead. He was also there for a month when I got there.
Oh my god.
So, and it's very seldomly that I ever see that kid have any sort of emotion. I felt so bad for him. Like, and I hate to use the word normal, right? But I felt like I, amongst like maybe 2 or 3 other people, were the only normal ones in the entire place. Because once you hear the stories I'm talking about, just like, you got one guy with rage issues, one girl is attacking the staff.
One girl thinks that you came to save her.
Yeah, one woman thinks I came to save her. One woman thinks she's God and stopped the zombie apocalypse. It was something. It was truly something. But now you want to know about the whole romance thing. Let's just say I made a friend in there now who was not like anyone I've described, but we kind of became like good friends. We would talk. We eat together every day. She would sit next to me watching TV, and we would just hang out and chat. Like we became good friends. Like we were each other's safe space. And there came a day where her and I kind of agreed that, hey, there's a mutual attraction there. I mean, and we kind of been going out.
Good on you, Matt.
So, I mean, I don't want to say too much because, when I start speaking, shit might not go my way, but we've gone out and she's great. Shout out to my homegirl, and I'm happy, man. At the end of the day, amongst everything I have just told you in this story, I am happy. I'm better. I feel much better since I've been out. They got me on fucking Prozac, which is something I desperately needed anyway, was medication.
At least it's not Ozempic.
No, apparently Ozempic could kill you, from what I've been reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So your boy is essentially Tony Soprano. going to psychiatrists, an Italian, and I mean, I'm essentially Tony Soprano at this point. I kept making that joke. To my family when they would call. But like I said, like needless to say, it's important that people understand what type of things you may see in a psych ward or a crisis center. The food is trash. Let's be honest. The food is nothing but sodium-filled garbage. And I actually gained a lot of weight being in there, if you haven't saw from my face.
Well, they don't have any like gym equipment or anything in there,
No.
I'm guessing.
Honestly, no. I feel like there should be an opportunity for hospitals to have some sort of gym. Because if you are able to, say, do your physical therapy at the hospital, there's a place to do it.
Yeah, at least like an exercise bike, because my guess now is that if they had weights in there, someone could just grab a weight and then throw it, hit someone, kill them. Well,
yeah, okay, so that's fair.
At least an exercise bike that's like stationary, and
Now that you mention that, and I mean all of the, what's it called? Furniture in there was heavy for that reason. Like insanely heavy. Like you have to be really strong to lift that off the ground. And I may work out, but Lord, I was not picking that up. So they have heavy furniture for that reason, to prevent people from essentially throwing stuff at other people. Because I'm sure it's happened in other places years ago, That's why they've had these protocols in place. So, as I was saying before, though, it's important that all the men out there know that, and all the fellow kings understand that your mental health is important. And if you do feel like you were in a place like where I was, where there is literally no hope, please get your shit checked out. Go to the hospital. And even if you want to stay there for a couple of days or a week like I did, because I voluntarily stayed a few extra days just to get as much information as I could from the groups so that I could cope better when I got out. And thankfully I did, because those latter groups I went to were actually the ones that gave me the best information. So I believe it's important that for men out there to advocate for themselves, even if you're involuntary, which I would hope no one ever is. But even if you were there involuntarily, I suggest you take the opportunity you can to use those techniques and those resources that you have to the best of your ability. And for the love of God, please do not try to attack or fight the staff or yell at the staff. They're just trying to do their job too. I'm sure they're used to it at this point, and some nurses are much better than others, but they don't deserve the abuse either. They're just trying to help you. And sometimes there's issues with like the kitchen where like people got the wrong food. They would take it out on the staff, and it's just like, why, man? We know you're upset. You didn't get what you wanted to eat. You didn't get what you ordered, but you don't have to fucking take it on the staff. They have nothing to do with it. So just understand that you just got to be kind. That's what I was, man. I was just kind to everybody. I was nice to everybody. I was making friends with people that were Crips. Okay. There was a guy in there who looked like he was in fucking high school, but apparently he was 30 something years old, and he was a Crip, and I made friends with him. Okay. I'm not going to name names for his own safety, but and apparently I made friends with a guy who was like a real street guy, real hood brother. And I made friends with him, and he was cool with me. So I was sitting here like, damn, I'm cool with the fucking entire state. Well, not state, but like the entire city of Trenton, basically. Because most of the people were Trenton intakes. And I was nice to all of them.
Yeah.
So.
I'm glad you got everything situated out there.
Do you have any other questions for me before we wrap up today?
Not questions, but I was just because this just popped into my mind.
Go ahead. I'm not opposed to answering any questions, so go ahead.
Oh, well, no, it had nothing to do with the whole psych ward thing.
Oh, okay.
This just came to my mind with athletes and paid promotion. With like big corporate chains, like a lot of times I see Raising Cane's where people go in and work there for a day, like not Sam Howell, but whoever the Georgia quarterback was that won the national championship a few years back.
Oh, you mean the dude that's like 25 years old?
Stetson Bennett, that's who.
Yeah.
And even this past month, like Anthony Edwards did something with Chipotle, and now they're just they just keep using that for any time someone has a bad day or like a terrible game. I put it in the group chat. Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick from last year's draft, I want to say. Yeah. Where people are cooking him for taking part in a NASCAR pit stop. People are just, bookmarking it. They're like, I dare Bryce Young to have a bad game, because they see that as like, oh, that'll be his next job whenever he's done. I just want to point out, because there was a comment saying, why they got him doing everyday people jobs. Huh? Especially in that case, because those NASCAR pit crews, they're made up of former collegiate athletes. And I'm not talking like he's like our height. He's like 5'10", 5'9", whatever. But the pit crews are like guys are like big buff dudes, like 6'3", 6'4".
Well, they kind of have to be when you're carrying like 100+ pound tires.
Like it's not an everyday people job. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's made up of former collegiate athletes. Like that fight that I posted like a few weeks back, pit crew members were getting involved. There was a giant pit crew guy. I think he was like 6'5", just grabbing people, shoving them, grabbing, shoving, pushing. That dude was definitely like a former linebacker or something. So it's not just.
Bill, you know. I mean, like with people that don't get drafted into the pros, there's a place for them in NASCAR.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, they can still show off their athleticism. Like, they still have a platform for that, and they can still make a good living.
Yeah, because
But I dare you to have a bad game, Bryce Young. Otherwise, you're going to be the fuel man.
Better be quick then.
Yeah, I would hope so.
We ain't got time to waste. But, anyway, unless you got anything else for me, I think it's time we wrap this show up.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Also, go Phils. They're in London this weekend against the Mets. Fuck the Mets.
Yeah, sorry to all my friends that are Mets fans. I love you. You know I love you. Go fuck the Mets, okay?
Yeah, fuck the Mets.
Go Yankees.
Our teams are at the top.
I know.
You're at the top of the AL. We're at the top of the NL.
And who's at the top of the overall league? It's the Phillies, right?
I think overall record-wise, it's the Yankees by one game, and that's because the Phillies have been in London for the past couple of days.
Yeah, we've been playing more games than you guys have, so that doesn't shock me. But
fuck the Braves, by the way, too. Fuck the Braves.
Yeah, fuck the Braves. I will say this much. I mean, let's make a quick little early. I know we're like almost halfway through the season. How you feel about the Phillies right now?
Oh, I feel great. I feel great. I mean, pitching is phenomenal. You got 3 pitchers on the Phillies staff that could, I wouldn't say 4, but you got a solid rotation. But 2 or 3 guys are considered Cy Young candidates. Like, you got Zach Wheeler, as always. Mm-hmm. You got Ranger Suarez, who he's going to be pitching Saturday. He's got a 9-1 record, 1.7 ERA, 79 strikeouts. Cool, calm, and collected on the mound. Aaron Nola, solid as always. Christopher Sanchez, I don't know why I'm doing it like this. 4th. That's the 4th option. Christopher Sanchez is a solid 4th pitcher. Taijuan Walker, still trying to get loosened up. Spencer Turnbull, also in that rotation, very good pitcher. And then the bats. Live by the ball, die by the ball. Or live by the boom, die by the boom.
Yeah, the Yankees are doing really good, man. Juan Soto has been probably our best pickup in the offseason. Pay that man whatever he wants at the end of the season, and everybody needs to buy a chicken finger and fry bucket to help pay that salary.
I've been seeing that. How much
is
that?
That it's got to be like $30, right? That is your main objective. Every time people go to a Yankees game, I want to see lines out the fucking stadium for the chicken bucket to pay Juan Soto. That is what everybody's goal is to do for the rest of the season. But nonetheless, we appreciate the fact that you guys are here for episode 81, a very chill episode to say the least. Lots of crazy stories were had and told. But if you want to follow us on your favorite podcast platform, please check us out on platforms, like Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Pocket Cast, Good Pods, so many more. If you have a podcasting app, odds are we're on it. Just search up the Bromigos podcast. We're the only ones still relatively active, if you didn't already know that. Twitter, at Bromigos Pod. Instagram and Facebook, at The Bromigos Pod. TikTok for clips of the show, The Bromigos Podcast. YouTube. YouTube's got nothing really got going on, unfortunately, because Mike still isn't here to do the video part of the podcast, and I don't know what the hell he does.
He's too busy being a girl dad.
Yeah, he's too busy being a dad in general. Yeah. Poor guy's going through so much shit. But hey, Mike, we love you, brother. We hope to see you back very soon. And of course, the Full Swap Radio, which you could find us on there at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, depending on, I always like using Eastern because it's easier. And plus, who the fuck uses Central Standard Time? Anyway, that's it for us this week, guys. We appreciate the fact that you're here. Take care of yourselves and take care of your mental health, fellow kings.
You've been listening to the Bromigos podcast.
Fuck you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Avena!